This is the persuasive speech for Communications 111 for Professor Kelly Brennan, PCC Winter 2023. I chose to talk about the two-party system and why I believe we should change to only a no-party system. As you know, for centuries, the United States, as long as it's been around, almost as long as it's been around, has been governed by a two-party system that has divided us and I believe has failed to serve the needs of the American people. It's time to move away from this outdated system and towards a no-party system where politicians are elected based on their platform and their qualifications, ideas, and policies, rather than their political affiliation. The two-party system that we have in place today promotes polarization and divisiveness in our citizens. Voters today are forced to align themselves with a party or another, leading to a lack of dialogue and a lack of compromise. This creates a political climate where politicians are more interested in attacking their opponents on the opposition rather than working together to try and find solutions to problems that affect all of us tax-paying citizens. No party system, as Michael Lind, the professor at the University of Texas and author of The New Class War, has argued, for a more extensive range of political views to be represented, leading to a more nuanced and diverse set of policies and proposals. Candidates would be free to express their ideas and their opinions without a fear of backlash from their party, and voters would be able to evaluate candidates based on their qualifications, ideas, and policies, again, rather than their political affiliation. As Lee Drutman, Senior Fellow in the Political Reform Program at New America, has noted, the two-party system has become a toxic force in American politics, contributing to polarization, gridlock, and a lack of innovation. As political parties have become more ideologically rigid, they have also drifted further apart, and the middle ground has disappeared. Mind you, this middle ground is where most people would plan on voting. This has led to a political climate where the voters are forced to choose between two fairly extreme parties, each with its own set of beliefs and policies that they may not agree with. This has resulted in a lack of dialogue and compromise, which are essential for a functioning democracy. Former President Barack Obama once said, "The biggest threat to our democracy is cynicism, a cynicism that we're not capable of solving big problems, a cynicism that puts down politics and says that our voices and our efforts don't matter." And yet, our two-party system does just that. It fosters a sense of apathy and cynicism against voters and other parties who often feel that their voices are not being heard or that their concerns aren't being addressed by the government. In addition to promoting this division, the two-party system limits the ideas and diversity and perspectives that are presented in our government. Parties tend to have rigid platforms that candidates must adhere to, which can stifle innovative thinking and fresh new ideas. A no-party system will allow for a wider range of political views to be expressed and considered, leading to a more creative and effective solutions that are facing our nation. Political scientist Morris P. Fiorina stated, "The two-party system is just too constraining, and the diversity of our viewpoints in this country. If we had a multi-party system, we could talk to each other more. Imagine a government where politicians are free to express their ideas and opinions without a fear of party backlash. This is the kind of government and democracy that we should be striving for." Finally, a no-party system would promote a greater accountability and transparency in our government. Politicians would be elected based on their merit and qualifications, rather than their political affiliation, which would lead to a more informed and engaged electorate as well as more informed and engaged voters. This in turn would hold elected officials accountable for their policies and their actions, as voters would not be beholden to any party loyalty. As former Supreme Court Justice Sandra O'Connor once said, "It is not partisan politics that must guide our actions. Rather, it is a thoughtful consideration of what will serve the public interest." We need to move away from the polarizing two-party system and towards a system that values transparency and accountability and puts the public interest above all else. I believe this is a no-party system because if we were to have a multi-party system, let's say we have 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, it what would happen is the majority or the elected person would only be maybe 10, 15% of the votes, which is not really the majority, which might create more problems than it would be solved. At least now we have 50-50 majority, but if we were to have multi-party systems, it would create, I believe, much more division among people. So that's why I believe the two-party system would be, the one party, excuse me again, the no-party system would be beneficial instead of a two-party system or more than two parties. So, in conclusion, the two-party system, I believe, is outdated and counterproductive, and it no longer serves the best interest of our country. We need to move towards a no-party system where candidates can be elected on their qualifications and their ideas and their policies rather than their political affiliations. Only then can we truly have a government that represents all of us, all Americans, all taxpayers, and that can foster innovation and collaboration and uphold the principles of transparency and accountability that is really lacking from our government today. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a good rest of your evening or morning. Uh, have a good one, Professor.